Let's bring in the panel now. News Corp's National Education Editor Susie O'Brien joins us from Melbourne, the wild streets of Melbourne, and Radio 2CC breakfast host Stephen Cenatiempo in Canberra. Let's talk a little bit about Canberra first, because the Liberals are going to try and sort this out tomorrow, Stephen. They've only been at this for 20 years. But, you know, Phil Thompson today said that, you know, they should have sorted this out months ago. It should have been sorted out in about 2008.
Yeah. Well, look, let's be a little bit generous and say at least should have been sorted out just after the election when they worked out that their policies weren't working. But look, you know, it should be an absolute no-brainer. But I get the sense that the members of the Liberal Party room are afraid of the fact that they've got nobody there with the ability to actually write decent policy and write decent messaging. And I said this when we spoke about this last week. It's all well and good to come up with the right idea, but you've actually got to be able to sell it to the electorate. And unless you can say to them, your energy prices are going up, we're not reducing emissions, the government even admits that it can't meet its own targets, what is the point of us following this same, going down this same rabbit hole? Well, then what do you achieve? But, I mean, how many meetings and how many, you know, I mean, they're flying into Canberra yesterday. They were here last Friday and had a meeting, and they're flying back on our expense tomorrow. I mean, fair income.
It's the easiest argument in the world to make because all the facts support it. But the problem is you have moderate Liberals, and most moderate Liberals never want to make an argument. If anyone argues against them, they say, oh, you're right, and they roll over. It is pathetic. Susie, before I come to you, I just want to show you something rather ironic. Here's a couple of Liberal MPs on the weekend belting out an In Excess song, and you'll never believe which one they dare to sing. Have a look.
You actually can't make this stuff up. On vocals, Nationals MP Sam Birrell. On saxophone, Liberal MP Angie Bell.
It's too funny. Never tear us apart.
Barnaby on backing vocals.
Not only
for you.
How are they going to put them together tomorrow, Susie?
Burn for you, I think, would be way more appropriate. I mean, it's just a debacle. And they shouldn't still be talking about this, as you said, like months and months after the election. And the problem is it's taken so long now that net zero has become kind of totemic amongst young people. If you're going to do something about the environment, that's seen as the only option. Might be a good option, but it's certainly not the only option. And they need, as you said, to be clever in their policy. They need to appeal to younger voters in the city in order to win back seats that they need in order to get into government, not just the gnats in the bush, and they need to work out how they can do that without alienating the right-wing rump of the party. Good luck to them. They're going to need every single minute of it tomorrow.
Burn for you reckon would have been better. You're going through the In Excess catalogue now. I was thinking about, you know, falling down mountains, end up kissing dirt. You know, there's bound to be a whole.
At least it wasn't a Midnight Oil song.
Now, just related directly to this, I want to look at a survey result that was published in The Australian today. And it says that 50% of Australians believe that the renewable energy push is contributing to the cost of their electricity. What I want to know is how stupid the other 50% of the people in the survey were, Stephen, because this is something that 100% of Australians should understand.
I was talking to an old mate today. He rang me out of the blue. He runs a fairly substantial club in outback New South Wales, and he said it costs $1,000 a day in electricity to run it, and he's thinking about bringing in a diesel generator because it's going to be cheaper than paying for electricity. I mean, that's where we're at. I mean, fair dinkum, if people can't wake up to where we're at by looking at their own electricity bill, or just, you know what, go into your local cafe and say to the cafe owner, how's your electricity bill looking at the moment, and what's the price of my coffee going to be next week? That might wake some of these idiots up to it.
All right, 50 years on from the dismissal today, here's those famous words, off the cuff they were, from Gough Whitlam on the steps of Old Parliament House.
Well, may we say, God save the Queen. Because nothing will save the Governor-General.
Yes, memorable words, but of course completely fatuous in the end because the Governor-General stuck around and Whitlam didn't. But talk about maintaining the rage. Have a listen to Albo last night.
The dismissal was a calculated plot, hatched by conservative forces which sacrifice conventions and institutions in the pursuit of power. And the result of the election that followed does not wash away any of that.
Shouldn't Albo let it go, Susie?
Well, I mean, was it a constitutional crisis? Was it a political plot? I mean, we've had 50 years to work it out and people still can't decide. I remember meeting Gough many years ago at Adelaide Uni for getting, I got 20 out of 20 for a Year 12 subject. Still proud of that. And met Gough, came up to about his armpits, looked up and said, thank you very much for free education. Of course, by that point, it was the late 80s. We didn't have free education anymore, but generations of people did. So, you know, his legacy is still very much alive and well.
The funny thing is no one ever mentions it was a Labor government who started charging people for going to university again. That happened under the Hawke government. It was.
Dawkins.
Dawkins in the Hawke government. Yeah, Labor are the ones who started charging you to go to uni. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Now, let's go to this outbreak of sanity from the Olympic movement, Stephen. They're finally saying that transgender females can't compete against females in the Olympics. In other words, biological males cannot compete against females. It's so obvious, it's such common sense, but it's taken a while to get here.
Yeah, I was going to correct you there and say, yeah, what they've done is ban men from competing in women's sport. You know, I mean, fair income, it's just, it is, as you say, a no-brainer. It should be just common sense that males are bigger, fitter, stronger than women on equal terms. If you know, I mean, look, there's probably women that could beat me in a boxing match, but you know, when we're talking Olympic athletes, if you're putting a bloke in the ring with a woman, somebody is going to get hurt. It's as simple as that. We saw it at the last Olympics, and I can't believe that after the controversy we saw in Paris, it's taken this long to actually come up with this decision. But what it has taken is a woman to take over the International Olympic Committee to actually implement this. The blokes, well, they were okay with blokes beating up women.
Bigger, stronger, but not fitter, I would argue. Fitter is a different category.
In my case, yeah.
As someone I'm the only male in an otherwise all-female swim squad, this I know very, very well. And just related to some of this nonsense around language, but language, before I come to you, Susie, is one that you've written about, a famous example of where a BBC presenter correctly raised their eyebrows at the language she was asked to use. Have a look.
London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine has released research which says that nearly 600 heat-related deaths are expected in the UK. Malcolm Mystery, who was involved in the research, says that the aged, pregnant people, women, and those with pre-existing health conditions need to take precautions.
Yeah, well, pregnant people, as she rightly says, pregnant women. She got admonished for that, disciplined for that, Susie.
Yeah, it was interesting. BBC got 400 complaints initially. They were telling people that she didn't mean to cause offence and it was, you know, entirely just off the cuff. But then 20 of those complaints escalated to the top levels of the BBC and she got sanctioned. They said that she was holding these views to ridicule. And I think it's absolutely absurd. I'm a mother of 3 and a woman, and I'm quite happy to be known as a breastfeeding woman many years ago. And look, I think if trans people want to be known as a chest feeder or whatever it is, then they should be respected. I don't have a problem with that. But catering to the minority should not erase the identity of the majority. And both of us, both sides, we should treat each other with respect. But I don't see why I should be erased just so that a tiny, tiny proportion of biological men who are now, biological women who are now men who can breastfeed to be accommodated. I think that's ridiculous.
You've confused me, but I agree with you entirely. Thanks for joining us, Susie and Stephen.